This is my second time recording this. My computer had a glitch this morning. So hello, welcome to the second week of 2021. Hopefully it's treating you good. So today in Spanish 1, we are going to be focusing on adjectives and adjective agreement. I just want to make sure that you guys are completely comfortable with this concept. I know we talked about it a little bit before Christmas break. But we are really going to hone in on it today, and we're going to hopefully master it this week. So in these notes, we are going to get back to the basics with adjective agreement. So even if you're still, if you think that you've got it mastered, that's great. I hope you still watch all the notes and take notes. It's important that you not only watch the video, but you write down the notes as well. That way you have a reference to use when you're doing your classwork. So we are going to review nouns and adjectives, the classification of nouns and adjectives, how we make adjectives match our nouns, and then we're going to do examples. And once you see the examples, hopefully it will make some pretty good sense. And we are actually going to do direct examples from your worksheet for the week. So you have 2 assignments. You have your worksheet, and then you have a Google form. And the Google form has some examples, has some little questions, and then it also has a link to a quizzes that you need to take. And it is participation. So if you get a 70% or higher, you're going to get 100% on the grade book. If you get somewhere between a 50 and a 70, you'll probably get a 70%, 80% on the grade book. And anything below a 50, you'll probably just need to retake it. Because if you score below a 50%, that's a pretty good indicator that you might not understand the concept. But anyway, we're going to get going with our notes. So I'm going to share the document camera screen. And a good rule of thumb, if you see me writing something down, that's your clue, your context. Hey, this is pretty important. If she's writing it down, maybe I should write it down as well. So adjective agreement, the basics. So to start off, we need to know some basic definition. What are nouns? So nouns are people, places, or things. People, places, or things. And then we also need to know what is an adjective. So some people might not know what adjectives are in English, but it's pretty simple. So adjectives are going to be words that describe nouns. So an example, if I say the blue chair, the blue chair. So the noun in the sentence, the person, the place, or the thing is the chair. And then the adjective, the word that describes the noun, is blue because it's giving us a description of the chair. Okay. So now that we know just the bare basics in English, we are going to talk a little bit about the classification in Spanish. Classification. Sorry, had to sound it out for a second. Still might have spelled it wrong, who knows. So classification. So in Spanish, all nouns are classified in two ways. So they're classified by number. So this just means, are they singular or are they plural? Is there one or is there more than one? And they're also classified by gender. This means, are they feminine or are they masculine? Now, I've talked about this in some of my other videos, but just in case you haven't watched them, gender for our nouns is more specifically based on how the words are spelled. So if it's feminine, it's going to end in A or AS. If it's masculine, it will typically end in a consonant or O or OS-ES, one of those two. So we will write down these specific rules on how to tell how it's classified by number and gender. So how to tell the classification. So the first step is number. So we have singular versus plural. So nouns are singular if they don't end in S. So an example of this would be the word chico, which means boy in Spanish. So chico does not end in an S. So it refers to only one boy. And then we have nouns ending in S are plural / have more than one. So an example of this would be chicos. Chicos ends with an S, and it means boys, plural. So that's our first category. And we'll do some examples really quick together. And this category is generally the easier category. So if I have the word mochila, would this be singular or plural? Right, it would be singular because it does not end in an S. So this just means backpack. If I have lápices, singular or plural. It ends in an S, so it is plural. There's more than one. It's how we say pencils in Spanish. So now we're going to focus on how we could make a singular word plural, how we can make a plural word singular. So this is a fairly simple process. So to make a noun or an adjective, either one, plural, you have two options. Depending on the spelling of the word. So option one is going to be words ending in vowels. So in case you don't know, vowels are A, E, I, O, and U. Y doesn't really count as a vowel in Spanish. So all you have to do, this is simple, ready? Just like in English, you're going to add S. So an example, like we saw earlier, the word chico transforms to chicos. Because chico ends in a vowel, all we have to do is add an S. And then option two, it's going to be the opposite of this. So if we're not talking about words ending in vowels, this is going to refer to words ending in consonants. So consonants are all the letters except A, E, I, O, and U. So instead of adding S, we are going to add ES. So our example here, we'll use the word azul, which is the adjective that means blue. So if I was making this plural, because it ends in L, which is a consonant, I'm going to add ES. Azules. Perfect. So this is all you need to know about number. Now let's talk about gender. So this is our second classification. So nouns and adjectives are classified as either masculine or feminine. Now I'm going to give you some very general rules. Just like every rule, there are going to be some exceptions, but we will get to those when we get to those. So, feminine. How to tell if a word is feminine. So, the two general things to look for. Ending in A or AS. So an example of this could be the word chica, which is girl. Or chicas, which is girls, plural. Now, generally, masculine is going to just be everything else. Generally, anything not ending in A or AS. So if we have chico, which is boy, or chicos, which is boys, plural. And then a special little rule that we need to know, there's technically a third category. So the secret third category and the reason it is a secret is because it's for adjectives only. So everything else we've talked about can go for adjectives and nouns. But adjectives have the option of being gender neutral. And this is if they end in certain letters. So if they end in E or ES, they end in L, or if they end in Z. They are gender neutral. So an example of this is the adjective intellectual. Which is like intellectual or intelligent in English. Because it ends in L, I can use it for girls and boys without having to change anything. So I could say, el chico intelectual, the intelligent boy, or la chica intelectual. There's no difference in those sentences. So what we need to look at now is how to make things feminine or masculine. So the process of changing. Typically, if you look at your list of adjectives, you'll find that the majority of them end in O. or a. So the O is going to be used for masculine, and then the A is going to be used for feminine. So generally, we can just exchange them, or we can just switch. The O's and A's. So an example of this could be the word red or rojo. So as it's written right now, because it ends in an O, it is masculine. And it's also singular because it doesn't end in an S. To make it feminine, we're just going to exchange that final O for an A. Now, if I wanted to make these plural as well, all I have to do is add S's. So this takes me to our examples. So if you look at your worksheet, in section 1, it says translate the adjectives below to match the ending of the adjective to the gender and number specified in each column. So I've given you the English words. You do have a word bank with these adjectives on there. And then you're going to go write each different form in the column. So the original word for short is bajo, B-A-J-O, short, bajo. So to make it masculine and singular, we just need to make sure it ends in an O, bajo, no S. To make it feminine and singular, we're going to change that final O to an A, baja. To make it masculine and plural, we're going to have it end in an O. That makes it masculine. And then add an S. And then to make it feminine plural, we have bajas. Another example, we'll look at outgoing. So outgoing is extrovertido. That is masculine and singular because it ends in an O. Feminine and singular is going to be extrovertida. So ending with an A. Masculine plural, extrovertidos. And then feminine plural, extrovertidas. Very good. Then let's look at hardworking. So this is trabajador. And by itself, it's masculine because it doesn't end in an A. So to make it feminine, this one's kind of an exception to our process because there's not a final O. Trabaja. So we have that, trabajador, and then we add an A, trabajadora. Now to make trabajador plural, because it ends in a consonant, instead of just adding S, we have to add ES. Trabajadores. And then feminine plural, so we take trabajador, and that does end in a vowel, so we just have to add an S. I hope you guys have a great day. Please message me if you have any questions at all, and I'll talk to you later.